le monde et merci beaucoup d'être présent aujourd'hui. So for those of you who are new to the masterclass today, my name is Natalie and I'm the director here at the Vici Language Academy. I run this nine-day French masterclass together with my colleague Laura, who is a French and English coach. She also happens to be the manager of our French office. And today, for this session only, Lana, who is also one of our long-standing language coaches, will be joining me and will actually run most of the session. So we've been organizing and we've been running this masterclass for 4 days now. It is a 9-day masterclass. Now, it is a French masterclass, simply because this is my language of predilection. However, I have said from day one that this truly is a masterclass that any language learner or lover can attend, because we're actually going through language learning strategies rather than speaking about the language in particular. We'll do that a bit later on and towards the end of the course. So on day one, we looked at, just a quick recap, on day one, we looked at 2 strategies to tricking your brain into learning the language. So we looked at your personality in colors. That was a really fun exercise to do. Then we look at the type of learner that you are, to really help you understand how you will best absorb and memorize and retain and reuse and analyze the language that you are learning. On day 2, we looked at the concept of blended learning and how amazing this is to really make your language learning journey exciting, varied, but also pretty efficient. And then yesterday, we looked at a plan. Yesterday, we showed you a blueprint on how to plan your language goals, regardless of where you are starting at and regardless of where you want to go to. And today, we are kicking off with a session called 5 Ways to Live Your Language. So what does that mean? Well, we've gone through strategies, we've gone through planning, and all of this has to be meaningful but fun. We think that your language also needs to be part of your routine. But when it's part of your routine, it kind of needs to be effortless. We don't want it to be a burden, okay? We've given you the big solid groundings, the big pillars with the strategies, with the planning. Then to build a routine around your language studies is something that you can do, that you ought to do, that I really encourage you to do. But this can be done with a lot of fun. However, if it's not something that you've done before, you may wonder how it's possible to do it. And that is why we're here today. Now, the first thing that I want to do is, I said to my team when I was preparing for this masterclass, the content of this masterclass, I said to my team, we have a private Facebook group just for the team of language coaches. And so I put a post saying, if I said to you, tell me ways to live the foreign language that I'm learning, what would you say? And I'd really like to share with you, just casually, what they have said, because I actually think that it is quite meaningful. So I thought I had Facebook open, but I don't, but that's okay. Let me open Facebook and let me show you. So groups. It's a little bit slow today. Oh, there we go. And there we are. Okay, so let's see. Okay, there it is. Oops, that was me. That was me telling everyone not to knock on my door every day for 9 days between 12 and 1 because I'm running my masterclass. So there it is. I said, if I ask you to list a foreign language, i.e. habits you can bring into your daily life to help your learning, what would you say? Quite interesting. So let's have a look at the comments.
Just, we can't see Facebook.
Oh, you can't see my Facebook page? Oh, I did say, didn't I, that I wasn't very good with, I think I know, with Zoom. There it is, there it is. How about now? Yeah? So this is our team here. And this was the question that I asked everyone. And whilst I was preparing for the content, I thought, oh, I'd love to see what people have to say. So this is quite interesting, guys, because these are really spontaneous answers. You know, when you reply on Facebook, you don't give it too much thought. So very spontaneous from our team within our private group. So this was not really for students to see, but I found the answers were really interesting. So I wanted to show you. So, well, we're going to put Lana to the side because Lana's got one of our main presenter today. Maria said, fall in love with something or someone. That's a really good advice. Then Latifa said, watch movies in Netflix in their original language or without subtitle, keep chatting with friends you might have in the target language, being part of a crowd group, for example, on social media, because I think she loves that. Alice says, I agree with falling in love with a place or friend or person, friends or otherwise. That's a good idea. Forcing yourself to communicate in the words and where you know, putting yourself in new situation where you have to listen and speak to the people. I particularly love that one. One of our old students actually really loved sewing. So she found a sewing club when she moved to France and said that she spent hours there just listening to what was happening because when she moved out there, her language was very basic. So that's a very good idea. Just sit there, listen, observe. Joe said, I'm a big advocate of academy English versus slang, more likely to encounter slang in spoken English outside the class. So cringed because I'm not a fan, watch soaps and reality TV. The downside is it doesn't portray English people at their best. Love this example because I often say that 20 years ago when I moved to the UK, I didn't know what soap operas were. It wasn't a thing in France at the time. And I lived in Manchester. So for those of you who are UK based, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I started watching Coronation Street and it was completely alien to me, but it was everyday life, people who looked like me and who had a real Mancunian accent. So I sat there with a cup of tea every day for about half an hour and I did actually learn quite a lot of English from it. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that that was quite interesting to see what the team was saying. And I think that the idea here, falling in love with someone, with, you know, with something, with watching movies, with joining a club face-to-face or a group on Facebook, this is really what we want to talk to you about today, but we want to give it a little bit more depth. So what we're going to do is Lana is now going to be our main presenter. She's going to tell you a little bit about her background, which I think is very interesting, her experience with foreign languages, which is absolutely extremely rich and phenomenal. And then she will give you her insight based on this as to what you can do. If you have any questions on the BBC article that we have sent you yesterday and that we've added to our Facebook group because we thought it was very relevant to today's topic, then please ask questions at the end, either to Lana or myself or Laura. And then I'll take over after Lana and I will put a little bit of structure into all of this. We promised 5 ways to live your language. So at the end of Lana's presentation and any of your potential questions, then I will go through the five, if you like, different sections that we identify. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, right. Lana, ready to take over? Oh, we can hear you. Oh, there we go. There you are.
You can hear me. Great.
Yeah, lovely.
Hi, everyone. And I'm happy to be here and actually honored to be here and talk about the topic which I feel very passionate about. And yeah, so it's a great privilege for me to be talking with you and share my experiences. So basically, as I mentioned on Facebook, if you read the post of like from yesterday, I mentioned that I was born in a completely monolingual, multicultural environment. So I'm originally from Russia, and I was born in 1986. So it was still the Soviet Union, you know, with all this consequences, political, cultural consequences. Where there was still like the wall was like kind of falling already when I was growing up, like the Berlin Wall, I mean, and the communist wall, but still the wall stayed in a lot of people's minds, you know. And in my family, it was just me now. It's just me now who has a passport to travel to other countries. So growing up, so it was just one language in my family. We never traveled abroad. We never spoke other languages. We never even discussed other countries, you know. So I'm saying that to show you that it is possible to become multilingual or bilingual as an adult. Yeah, because I learned, basically, I have learned in my life 7 languages, not to brag, but yeah, it's the total 7 languages that I learned in my life, foreign languages. But I learned them, most of them, in my adulthood as an adult, not as a kid. So when I was very young, nobody talked to me in any language, or nobody, you know, I never had like foreign friends coming to visit or whatever. So it was really like completely, again, monolingual environment. But I was very drawn, actually. I was magnetized. I don't know if this word exists. With English, because although it was a post-Soviet country and like there was no really much maybe interest in foreign relationship with Western countries, still we still had English classes. And of course, in the 90s, the English music, the British music, the American movies started to, you know, come, and I was completely fascinated with the sound of that language with both British and American accents, and to the point where I would be like listening along Spice Girls, like completely not understanding what they were, you know, singing about, but having like really, really fun and enjoying myself. Or sometimes like we'd be repeating some you know, some lines from the movies, or some, you know, exclamations that they produced, you know, like in movies. Then they say like typically, oh my god, oh blah blah blah, and I used to kind of unconsciously repeat that after them, and I imagined that I kind of could speak sort of that language. Yeah, that was as a child. I was kind of finding my way in the because there were no resources really in the 90s. There was no internet anywhere, right? Like my English teacher was not really, unfortunately, a good example. The lessons were really grammar centered, read and translate. So there was no speaking, no fun, no any kind of human touch. But and which actually what happened was that a lot of my classmates, they developed resentment towards English, and they hated it. They absolutely didn't like it. And then of course, this is what I actually come across now sometimes as a trainer, language trainer and coach, that people come to me and they still feel that resentment because as a child, in their childhood, they had really bad experience with their language studies, language lessons. But that wasn't my case, fortunately, unfortunately, even though like, yeah, the lessons were boring, I still like loved English, and in the back of my mind, probably I hope that one day I will pursue that. I mean, what I didn't know what I was going to pursue, to be honest. But yeah, I moved on to study linguistics naturally, or maybe not naturally, but that doesn't mean that suddenly I started to speak all these languages. No way. And so at university, my language classes were much better. I mean, English classes were much better, a little bit more conversation, but still a lot of grammar, a lot of reading, a lot of translation too. And that to the point where I came to the States after 4 years of university, and in total, I think that was 13 years of studying English. I came to the USA as an exchange student to work at Dunkin' Donuts as a crew member, and my first days were absolutely like on another planet. I kept asking myself, is this really the language I had been studying for 13 years? I couldn't really believe it. I couldn't understand people, And at that point, this is where I really started to be aware of the deficiencies of language education system, traditional language education system, because here I was, I took classes for 15 years and I couldn't speak, I couldn't function in the language. That was really frustrating. And I think I keep kind of carrying on this maybe personal frustration and kind of implementing that in my lessons. I mean, not frustration, but I mean, I'm trying to kind of teach my learners how to use the language, not just to learn all the rules and fill in the gaps and blah, 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 but also use so that they feel comfortable in real life. And this is something that at the Vici, for example, I've been able to implement, and I have seen really great results where people not just learn language, but also use it as a function. Yeah, for example, to buy an ice cream or I don't know, make a page on LinkedIn, whatever it is. Yeah. So yeah, basically what I also wanted to add to my experiences, and then I will move on to some kind of more specific examples of living the language, right? As a student, I sometimes, because it was the beginning of 2000s, the internet was still kind of rudimental, but I had a tremendous curiosity about the world around me, and I would be, looking for pen pals from different countries, to get to know people from different countries, again, through English. But you can also do that for French, because French is also spoken in so many countries, right? So French also gives you a really solid key to the world out there. And then I even made some friends, some real friends that I made face to face after exchanging several emails over I don't know, several months, yeah, maybe or so. And that was all of these things. They were really starting to kind of feed my passion, and also my interest towards languages. And also I joined a post-crossing project, which I'm still a part of. It's basically you send a real written postcard to a random person in the world, and then also you get also a random postcard from a random person in the world. So this is really fantastic. And so then moving on a little bit to some specific examples here, because here today we're talking about living the language. And some of the things that I do, for example, I make a shopping list in in this or that foreign language. Yeah. So this way, even if you, for example, you don't know how this particular item is called in, for example, French in this case, of course, you can always look it up and just put it in your list, or you can write it down and then include an emoji or a picture to help you to remember. Yeah, because visual cues, they are always helpful. And then what I also do is that I use the internet to kind of fuel my curiosity. Yeah, we all know that internet is a minefield. Yeah, it can be a blessing, it can be a curse too, both. But that's actually, so yeah, you have to be careful about what you consume on the internet. But my point, it's something that a lot of people and coaches, also trainers, whatever, say that watch movies, yes or no, read articles, or listen to programs, watch BBC if we talk about English, or some other channels. And I agree with that. But for me, the main point is that you have to be really interested in what you are watching. So let's do watching or listening or reading. Okay, let's do a little, just a little quick exercise. Can you write down in the chat 3 topics that you love or you really like talking about? Just 3 topics from the top of your head. Embroidery, crochet, reading. Okay, great. Gardening, cooking, travel. Books, music, food. Awesome. Any other topics? Tai Chi. Wow, that's cool. Theater. Yeah, I like this. Is such a variety of topics. That's really cool. Great. Sports, all of them. Wine, reading. Wow, seems like reading is leading. That's a rhyme. Leading, reading. Yeah. Yeah, all of them. Film, French culture, business, Vogue in English, French, Spanish, and Dutch every week. Wow, that's, oh my God, that's also extraordinary. Cooking above all. All right. Great. So, right. So you've written these 3 topics, and the idea is to find quality content on the topics that you really like. Okay. And of course, if we're talking about French here mainly, that should be in French. Okay. Of course, in case your language level allows you to do that. And I think if you have your basics covered, like if you at least have a 2, like, aiming to B2, B1, A2, B1, this is where you can really start to, consume original, authentic content. Yeah. So basically, you can think of, podcasts. Again, we will repeat, but still, what you can do, what I always advise to my clients, you just go to any podcast app, or you just go to Google and you say, for example, so here we say, we have a very good example, Tai Chi. So you type Tai Chi, probably, I don't know, what is Tai Chi in French? Is it the same?
Same word.
Yeah, so it's going to be the same word. And then you can put something like the name of French in France, in French, so that it can filter out better, the results. And then from the results that you were given, you start to, you see the titles, of course, you can start to filter out the things that speak to you. Not because you see Tai Chi, okay, I need to consume it. No, because maybe I don't know, they talk about 5 things to prevent injuries when you do Tai Chi. And this is something that you're really interested about, okay? You go ahead, you click, and you listen to that, yeah? Or if they talk about why Tai Chi is so great for you, and you already know that, so maybe you can skip that. So you keep looking, and also you keep discovering more content. It can be podcasts, YouTube, blogs, I know, social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, you know, all this, Facebook, whatever it is. But also, not only do you need to, you know, consume, like listen, read, and watch, but the idea also, if you really want to, you know, kind of see your progress in the language, the idea is to produce like the language. And by produce, I mean speaking and writing, okay? So what you're going to do is basically going to leave a comment to a post. Yeah, if it's a post, you're going to send in a question, because a lot of bloggers, a lot of, I don't know, people who post content out there, they welcome people to really send in their questions. So you don't have to be shy. Send in your question, even if it's going to be with the help of Google Translate or dictionary, it doesn't matter. What matters most is that you really have to like this channel, or this post, or this you know, account, and you really have to be sort of like a fan, so that you have this motivation to follow, and that will organically make you learn the language. The language will come to you. So this is the idea. And, or for example, if you feel shy, because that's what I understand, and this is an example I wanted to talk about with one of my clients. She works at IT, and she's sort of like introverted, and so she's not really like very outspoken, you know, very extroverted person. So she still feels sometimes kind of intimidated by sharing things online. But I told her that you don't have to really like write long essays. You don't have to, you know, produce perfect things, compositions. You can start with just a simple, you know, comment like great article, thanks, you know, or better yet, you can use the phrases or the words from that article or podcast, again, or whatever, in your comment. So I don't know, I'm sorry, my French is non-existent, but if we're talking, for example, English, and I don't know, so imagine that learner is reading a comment or an article about IT education for kids. And there she finds an example of a word, of a phrase, I don't know, yeah, IT education. Yeah, maybe it's a really good example, but anyway. And so she can think of a question, maybe how to use that example, yeah, IT education, right? Or in her comment or her question, or reply, yeah, if it's a comment to another comment, yeah. So this is something that we have been doing with her several times. I just first told her, okay, so you're going to go to, there is an online debate platform, which is called Kia Law. And I just checked it. It has the French version, but I think all the debates are in English. I can write you the website so that you can check. And what's great about this platform, that it's completely ad-free. There are no pop-ups. There's like, it's not social media. It's just a debate platform. And so I started with that. I told her, look, it's okay. You don't have to produce perfect text. Let's start with something simple. You choose a topic that you liked, and she liked the topic. Yeah, where is it? Should IT education for kids begin as early as 3 years old? because she has two boys and she works at IT. So this was a blend for her. And I told her, just leave one comment. Start with one comment, and it can be as short as you get, as you want, okay? And then next time I told her, okay, leave the next comment. Yeah, leave a little bit bigger comment. Okay, so we're just increasing a little bit the output step by step. But again, it's just, in the end, it's about making this habit of using the language, because a lot of times, yeah, when we don't live in the country where the language is spoken, we think like, I don't have anywhere to use the language, right? And this is really, it's true, but it's not really true. And nowadays, thankfully, there are platforms, quality platforms and quality content that you can find and you can engage with, you can learn, you can feel even like a part of the community. It's just a matter of pursuing your interests and a little bit patience, but also critical thinking. Yeah, that's very important, okay? And another example I wanted to give, like using the content, is that I had an entrepreneur, French entrepreneur. He had his own agency. I think it was a broker estate agency. And so I found for him really like interesting YouTube video, how to make LinkedIn work for you. Because as an entrepreneur, he needed to, introduce himself, do networking, and LinkedIn. He mentioned before that he used LinkedIn, so I thought that he could really use LinkedIn to his benefit to expand his networking. And he watched the video, and then I asked him, okay, so what would be your 3 takeaways? What do you take away from this video? Okay, what are the things so you can start following, implementing from that video? Okay, and that was something that really worked for him. And another example that I can tell you how it's a personal example. So for example, sorry, I repeat myself. On some occasions, I had interviews in my other foreign languages for some projects in Spanish and Swedish, and there were specialized kind of projects or short-term gigs, whatever. And they're not my strongest languages, to be honest, Spanish and Swedish. So of course I was terrified. I was like, what am I gonna do? But I took it as a challenge. And what I did was that I looked up, in order to, like brush up on my specific vocabulary, because I was looking for some kind of specific words or phrases, instead of like going to Google Translate or dictionary and translating, I went on to the specialized websites with similar profiles, and looked up specific words from the same field that I was looking for, and I wrote them down. So in the end, I had all the vocabulary that I needed, and that was organic, natural, and that was something that like the interviewer could understand what I was saying. Yeah, even though that I was not very confident in these languages, but I was at least confident in the vocabulary. And what else I can share with you? Yeah,
just interrupting you really quickly.
Sure.
I'd love to ask, because when we were preparing for this class today, Laura, we were just casually chatting last night, and Laura mentioned a couple of really good examples as well.
Sure.
With some of those students. So Laura, do you want to share with us, please?
Hi, definitely. I was so interested to hear about your background, Lana, as well. I hadn't realized exactly, you hadn't grown up multilingual and everything. So it's definitely an inspiration, I think, to hear Lana speak so fluently and so amazingly, and to know that you can achieve that as an adult. So I myself feel much more confident about what I can do now. So thank you, Lana. But otherwise, yeah, everything that Lana said really is it's exactly that. It is very great. So I was just talking with Natalie yesterday about a few examples of my own students. So I have one student who works for a company called Herbalife. So she sells products, well-being products online. And Herbalife is a huge international corporation. So she works for the French company. And so to help her, exactly what Lana said, I very much encouraged her to join Herbalife groups in English and to be able to interact with other people from the same company as her, but within different countries, because things like that are very, very revolved around social media. So we really got her to work at interacting with people on their Facebook accounts, in the groups that they had online. So again, this was something that was not only great for her language skills, but for her professional skills as well in another language. So if anyone is thinking of learning French for professional purposes, that is a really great example of how you can really not only build your networking and your professional skills, but do that while you're working your language skills. And another one I have a client at the moment. He's very young. He's quite young. He's in his early 20s, and like many people in their early 20s, he spends a lot of time scrolling on social media. He'll come out with interesting facts that he'll tell me from random videos he's seen about random things, because he spends a lot of time on the Instagram. I don't even know what it's called because I don't really use it, but the part where you go and you can explore, and it just gives you content that you might be interested in. So anyway, when he told me exactly how much time he was spending scrolling and doing just mind-numbing scrolling and not interacting in anything, I sent him a list of Instagram accounts to follow that were based around either things he was interested in or the things he was mindlessly consuming anyway. So really, to push on what Lana said, it's completely that. It is all about integrating the things that you are going to consume anyway in the target language. So exactly what Lana said. So making sure that, yeah, anything you are going to be doing in your daily life, especially, let's all be honest, we can all probably spend a little bit less time, whether it's on social media, whether it's just on TV, Netflix, I don't know, everyone has their thing. We all have something where we think, yeah, probably be more productive with that time. And that's the beautiful thing about making languages integrated in your everyday life, just as Lana has said to us. It is finding where you already spend that time and putting it in your target language. And that is something that everybody can do, that we can all really do really easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I also wanted. You just reminded me that everybody of us spend some time, in queues, waiting for somebody or someone, or, washing the dishes or doing some kind of monotonous work. So instead of just, letting this time go by without anything productive, we could also do something. And one of the easiest ways, for example, to listen to a podcast, yes, or if it's possible to watch a video or a movie, whatever, that you can squeeze in, even if you have 5 minutes, because sometimes people really they're maximalists, they think, oh, I need to spend every day 30 minutes or 2 hours listening or doing something. No, even 5 minutes or 10 minutes make a difference. But again, I still all the time, I just can't help but remind people that the content should be of your interest, not just language rules or pronunciation, which is fine, but it should be beyond the language too, and more to the topic of your interest, basically. Yeah.
Thank you, Lana. Thank you so much. I'm going to follow up with a recap of 5 things that I think that you can write down along the lines of what Laura and Lana have said, just so it's nice and structured in your mind. But before we go to that, do you have any direct questions for Lana and what she has said so far? I'm sure she can reply. I know some of you have sent her little messages in the chat. I'm sure she can reply to that in a while. I think, so if I may, what I'd like to say is I think we can all agree here that the key word, if you want to live your language, the language that you are learning, is engage. Engage, engage, engage. That is the key word. But you need to create conditions around that. So engaging with the language on a daily basis should feel really quite natural and effortless. This is the key here. Remember that you can engage physically and mentally with that language, whatever it is for you to keep that motivation going. So the 5 ways that we as a team have identified in order for you to live your language, and again, to summarize what Lana and Laura have said. Number 1 is anything that is topic based. So if you're interested in fashion, then I saw that someone, I think it's Laura, is reading Vogue in several languages. Great. You're interested in sports, in wine, in food, in cars, in travel. Just pick one topic, 2 or 3, but work your engagement around a topic. You can do it based on an environment. So when you go to the gym, a dog walk. We talked about Tai Chi. One of my clients, when I was still coaching, adored yoga, and she was really quite an advanced learner. She was telling me how she was doing yoga every morning. I told her to put the yoga videos in French. She doesn't need the instructions anymore. She knows exactly what a downward dog is, and she knows that. So I said, put the videos in French. You are watching the videos because you want the motivation of being there every day. You want someone to give you the rhythm of the class. You certainly don't need the instructions in your native tongue. You can listen in French. She said that made a huge difference to her learning. So think about something that could be based within your environment. If you go for a dog walk every day, is there something every day that you can do, like a podcast, along your dog walk, where your brain identifies dog walk to French? The minute you get the dog out, your brain will start to switch into thinking in French. Number 3 is technology based. So we all know now that we use an awful lot of technologies. The girls have mentioned it. Can you change your phone into French? Are you able to navigate around your phone if everything is written in French? If so, go for it. Apps, you know, we all know that you could have an app and spend 5 minutes on the train, if it's a short train journey that you do every day, to put it to good use. We've spoken about social media, Facebook groups. I mean, Facebook groups are literally the thing of the century. And we communicate with our students more on Facebook, I believe, than anywhere else. They're in our Facebook group, they ask questions, they watch video, they digest our content, they'll send us a private message. So Facebook group, find one of interest, and quite frankly, you never even have to engage. I think Gina talked about crochet. You don't even have to engage with people until you feel confident doing so. Watching and reading the information is going to be very interesting and useful. Then number 4 is relationship based. Your children, your niece, nephew, granddaughter for some of you, who are your language partners? Can you associate learning French or any other language that you're learning with a person? It can be someone you share your language class with. It can be a cousin who lives in a foreign country. It can be anyone, someone who's close to you, not necessarily. How about having a language partner? It could also be an accountability partner if you decide to study together and that is hugely powerful. So we have topic-based, environment-based, technology-based, relationship-based, and the last little nugget, which is more like a bonus nugget. This one is time versus mindset. How about 1 minute a day? Have you ever heard of the 1 minute rule? I think both Lana and Laura said you don't have to do it for a long period of time. But even 10 minutes or 5 minutes can seem like a long time when we have a very busy schedule and we have to think about work and children and the dog and bills to pay and whatever there is. I don't think I'm very wrong by saying that anyone can do something for 1 minute a day. Again, if it's not really you, don't worry about it, but why not give it a try? Out of all these things that we've mentioned, is there anything at all that you could do for just 1 minute a day? The way your brain thinks, I mean, this 1 minute technique works for loads of different things. The whole idea behind it is for people to think, well, of course I can do that for 1 minute. I mean, who doesn't have 1 minute? And 9 times out of 10, people actually do it for 5 minutes, or 10, or 15, or 30. But it all started because they've told themselves that they could definitely make time for just 1 minute of a little French thing that they wanted to do that day. And you can choose whatever that is. So please remember that it's all about engaging on a daily basis with something to do with the language. It's very personal to you. It needs to be natural. It needs to be effortless. We're not here talking about studying the language. We're not here talking about learning rules, putting some structure into it. No, none of that. Living the language is very much adopting it on a daily basis, something that's going to bring you joy, but that's really going to make you go further along your language learning journey. Again, it can be a mental involvement, but it can be a physical involvement as well. If you like to go for a jog in the morning, think about topics, think about environment, think about technology, think about relationship, and think, please, about the 1 minute rule. And the last thing here, which is really quite crucial, and Lana mentioned it as well, is input and output. Remember that sometimes it will be your own input, sometimes it's an output. When you listen to a podcast whilst you're walking the dog, it's an output. When you listen to the yoga training session in French, that's an output. You're the receiver. Trying to do little things that are an input, because these variation in actions with the language are going to help you tremendously. You may not realize it at first, but trust me, it builds up to something really quite phenomenal. So an input could be the little comment on LinkedIn or on Facebook. I love the LinkedIn one because we train a lot of professionals and all of them go on LinkedIn. That's an advice that I've given before. And as Lana said, it could just be, that's a great article, thank you for sharing. That's an input. Do you have any questions? And Gina, definitely singing Edith Piaf songs counts. You're welcome to practice. You know, we're only on day 4, we're going to day 9. If you want to come back and sing one of them, the stage is yours. And whatever bring you joy, that's absolutely right.
I'll add in there that actually songs is a great way, and not just listening to the song, but you can find the lyric video on YouTube, for example, so you can read and listen at the same time. And there are, if you often just search lyrics and the name of the song, you'll find annotated versions of the lyrics as well, which is always really nice. So people have commented what they think the lyrics represent and things like that, which is actually a really nice way of sort of engaging with the language a little bit further than just listening to the song as well. So it's definitely something I recommend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions, but also any little tips that they themselves perhaps want to share? Thanks, Usha. I'm glad that it was very helpful. I think that, you know, we perhaps all know or can all guess about this. What's important is to think about it in a slightly more structured way. So you'll come across things where you go, oh, I never noticed I was doing this. Like, I really like, as Gina was saying, I really like French songs. So you may not always think that you're putting on French songs because you're trying to learn. It's just a nice little pleasurable thing to do. But if you, in mind, think about the, you know, the topic and the environment and the technology and the relationship, all these different type of environment, that really helps you to pinpoint what is actually right for you, what works really well. And actually, Gina just said, I always found that overcoming your shyness and just talk to stranger works wonders. True, you definitely have to be, you know, quite comfortable doing that. But actually, this is the entire point. The entire point is, if you start to speak to people on LinkedIn, in Facebook group, even just a little bit, it's okay, isn't it? You know, there's a Facebook group called Everything French. It's a wonderful little group where people share brilliant things about France. I came across it not very long ago. I think it's only been set up about 2 years ago. It's got beautiful pictures of France all the time. It's very much a feel-good Facebook group. They talk about food, culture, history. There's 3 or 4 people who run it. They've got an amazing knowledge of France. And being in this group, it is an English-speaking group, but quite often people will ask a little French question, or they'll try to comment on, when it was the 14th of July, French National Day, quite a few tried to comment in French about it. Well, there won't be a safer place for you to do that if you are quite new at learning French, because everyone there will be very, very understanding. The name of the group is called Everything French. If you can't find it, Sarah, let me know, and I'll copy it, because I'm part of it. But it is really, really good.
Sorry, Natalie, yeah. I just looked it up. There's about 3 groups called Everything French.
Okay, I haven't got my phone with me. Show me. I think I've just seen it. It's the first one.
Thank you.
Recognize the little icon.
Thank you.
It's the first one. Yeah. So, no more questions? Is anyone brave enough to tell us something they are going to implement?
Yeah, I think all of this is interesting, Natalie. Yeah, definitely. Topics, like I have a varied interest. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking up things in French, so for my gardening or my Qigong, Tai Chi. Yeah, that's why I said that some very useful tips, but I mean, there's a lot of tips there that I can really take on board. So yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. And you know, don't think that you've got to do all of it.
No.
You know, just starting with the 1 minute is amazing. Moving on to the topic is fabulous. I know that a lot of the students who join our French programs end up having a little French body. We encourage that an awful lot. Sometimes when we know the student's personality quite well, we say, or if you have we know we have something in common, interest, family, social background, we'll say, I think so-and-so could be your accountability partner. You can work together, you can help each other when you work out on your French outside the class. So don't do it all at once, but there's an awful lot that can be done. But it's very much what we've said all along in this masterclass is about having something structured. It's about having something that really means something to you and something that is achievable. You know, it is achievable, it is digestible, because if that's the case, it will then form part of your routine and your language studies will become part of your lifestyle. And then it's just extremely enjoyable and you keep with it and you get progress. Yeah. So, well, I just wanted to say thank you very much. The masterclass is about to end. You are very welcome to stay for a little bit longer. You're very welcome to contact us privately, ask any questions. So we've gone through day 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, we've basically covered most of our blueprints, if you like. Most of the solid learning strategies that we share with our students have pretty much been covered. So if you think that you've learned enough and now you can go off on your own and you feel very confident that whatever you've chosen to learn French, you can get on with it, then I'm conscious of your time and you may not want to be there for the remaining days that we have planned. We're running throughout the weekend and until next Tuesday. If, however, you think that the info that you've had so far are very useful, but that you'd like to progress because you'd like to work with a team of professionals like ours, then please stay, because the next few days are going to be really quite practical. The next few days, we are going to present our French Ambition program, which is brand new, that we are starting out. It's an online program that we're extremely proud of. We've put years of research into it. I think that all that we've done in the French department so far, which has been the king language at VT for the last 14 years, all of that has been great, but I think the French Ambition program is really the best of all that we've done. If you think that you'd really want to find ways of working with a team of professionals to either kickstart your French studies or really, really take them to the next step, then please stick around. Stick around, because we are going to talk about that in more details in the next few days. You are going to meet some of our students. They will explain to you their journey here. We are doing hot seats. I think that's on Sunday. On Sunday, we're doing like a customized learning journey for you. So you come with where you are, where you're going. You can ask us questions. We're going to answer all these questions for you, etc. Okay? So that's just what I wanted to finish this class with. I really, really hope that the first 4 days, which really are the main pillars of the grounding, if you like, for all our students, have been extremely useful. But if you really want to know more, if you're really fired up to speak French very well, then please stick around. We will still be here every day at 12 o'clock UK time until next Tuesday. Okay? Well, thank you very much, everyone. And as always, email, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever, I'll be there to answer your questions. Take care, everyone, and thank you very much. Au revoir. Merci. Merci.
Au revoir.